everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and it is time to share with you my mixed media art journal page for September Pick a Stick Challenge Facebook group using the one-word prompts that were randomly drawn and given in the Facebook group. So step one was plate, and I wanted to take this opportunity to use my mini gel plates. They come in a set of 3. There's a square, a circle, and a triangle. All the products I use will be in the description box below with links if you'd like to check them out. So step one is plate, and I'm using some Distress Oxide inks just directly to the little plate and then kind of stamping it onto my page. The colors this month for the challenge are tangerine and plum, so I picked Spice Marmalade and Seedless Grapes Distress Oxide inks because I thought those represented our colors pretty well. And then I think that, you know, when you're doing colors, you should have 3. I would like to pick 3 actually, but we only had 10 prompts, anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I decided to use Broken China, which is kind of a turquoise color, to go with these 2 colors because I think they go really nicely together. Distress Oxides also work nicely together. They don't fight with each other. They blend well. They don't overpower each other. It's a good product line. So step 2 is crumple, and I did crumple up a piece of deli paper, and then I'm using it as texture on my plate. I put some ink on there, and then I put the texture on there using that crumpled up piece of paper. So I did steps 1 and 2 kind of together. So when I switch to the round plate, I'm doing the same technique, but this time I'm bringing in a stencil. This is a Julie Fanfare-Balzer stencil. I think it's just called Marks, maybe, but I'll find it, link it in the description box below if it's still available. So I'm pushing the plate over the stencil to begin with to add marks through the stencil, and then also that leaves a mark on the gel plate, so I can stamp that on as well and make a mark that way too. It's kind of the reverse. And then I spritz a little water on the stencil and lay the stencil over the page, and that's the third way that I can make a mark. So I'm making an interesting background here. I'm having a lot of fun with it. This was a good time. Using the crumpled paper, using the stencil, just really making an interesting and colorful background. Using the colors from the challenge. So if you're not familiar with the challenge, Pick a Stick Challenge is a Facebook group where we offer art journaling page and a artist trading card challenge each month using randomly draw one-word prompts. And you need to use the first 6 prompts in order. You can put things up before, you can put things after, you can put things in between, but you just need to use those 6 prompts. If you don't like one of those prompts, there are 2 wild cards that you can choose, and then there's also 2 colors picked every month that we like you to use, but you don't have to. So that's how the challenge works. If you'd like to join, you can click the link in the description box below. Also down there in the description box is a link to Peg Robinson's art journal page using the same prompts, and you can go look at her page. She is my cohort in the running the Facebook group, so we do it together. So when I was done with my whole background, I wanted to seal it. You know, Distress Oxide reacts with water, as you just saw as I was splattering water on it. It does an interesting oxidizing thing that makes like a lighter spot when water gets on it. But I just want to seal this whole thing. This is my background. I don't want to, anything changed about it. So I used some fluid matte gel medium, and I don't want to overwork it, so I'm not putting it on with a brush because that's going to smush around the ink. So I use a small brayer to just roll over gently to spread that matte medium, and then I dry that up real good. The next step number 3, was trace, and I decided to get out some white Posca pens. I didn't know how I got 2 out because I wasn't sure if one of them doesn't work, and I'm not sure which one it is. Tracing around the shapes that I created with the gel plate. And as I was doing this, it looked to me like patches, like something is worn and patched. Maybe it's a crazy quilt. Maybe it's your old pair of jeans that are so soft and worn in and they fit perfect on your butt, but they're wearing out, but you don't want to get rid of them, so you patch them. And that kind of gave me the idea of the whole page. Because I didn't know where I was going at this point, I was just making a cool background. And then when I started to see these patches, I started to think about soft, worn in, comfortable things that need to be celebrated. And that's sometimes how that happens. Sometimes you want to make an art journal page about a specific thing, and other times you're just playing and you come up with an idea, and that's what happened. So the next step happens to be soft, number 4. And so I decided that what I wanted was a place that you would go to sit and read a book and relax and drink your tea, and you've got a soft, comfy blanket that you lay over your lap and you curl up in your, in this case, chair. It could be your bed, it could be your couch, it could be your window seat, but in this case, I just think these wing back chairs are really cute, and I know people have them in their living room, you know, in the corner of their living room where they sit with their legs underneath them and read a book. So that's what I'm drawing, is a chair. Not as easy as you would think to draw a chair, but I am drawing it using my Pentel Graph Gear mechanical pencil. This is what I like to draw my illustrations with. I have some soft graphite in it. You know, it's, you can put your own leads in there. And I use a white eraser, and this is how I draw illustrations, which I haven't been drawing very much lately, so it was kind of fun to do this. And so I'm drawing my chair legs, and then I draw a blanket kind of draped over the chair, you know, so that you can sit in it, comfort yourself up. Maybe it should have had a pillow, but I didn't put a pillow in. Have your tea, read your book, or watch your YouTube videos on your phone. You know, we all do this stuff, and it's our sanctuary. It's a place that we are comfortable and safe. And that's kind of what I was thinking about today when I made this page. So there goes the blankie. I had to draw drapes and folds in it, you know, because that's how it would be if you got up to go get some more tea and you threw it on the chair for when you came back. So this is step number 4, soft. Soft blankie. Comfy, safe, soft chair. Yeah, had to draw the folds in there. So unfortunately, at this point, at the end of this little section, my camera turned off. Okay, so as you can see, all my things are checked off, and I've finished my page. And the camera did not record everything past me drawing the chair. So I'm just going to have to explain to you what I did and why I did it, and give you a few examples of that, I guess in real time, because there's nothing I can do to just recover something that never recorded. So let's see, we ended with, I was drawing for soft, and I drew a chair, as you guys saw, and a soft blanket, and I was thinking about how we have things that comfort us. We might have a place that we sit with our favorite soft blankie that is our sanctuary, and it's soft and comfy and safe, and that's the reason that I wrote these words on here, but that was at the end. But let me tell you about the coloring, I guess. So here I have my chair, and here I have my blankie. And the way that I colored was to use, whoops, I just dropped half of them, to use Neocolor 2 crayons. And these Arteza water brushes. Colors that I used for the chair are, where are the colors on this? turquoise, and I think it was this one. Man, these are hard to read. And malachite. I think those are the two I used. So what I did was I started with the light parts of the chair. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. With this lighter color, like this, and then if there was some place that needed to have a darker shade, I just filled it in with the other color. And then I just used this to blend. And then I would have a shaded area and a lighter area. And this, of course, going around with the pencil lines. And then once that was dry, I just simply added in some black, just Stabilo all pencil around the areas, you know, that were. Here's my little chair. You saw me draw it, so you know I can draw it. And then I blended those in as well. And that was how I got the chair. And then that was cut out, and I attached it to the page here using Liquitex matte gel medium. But before I did that, I sealed it with Liquitex fluid medium, which you saw me do on the background with a small brayer. Same thing for the blanket. You know, the blanket's got its little drapey stuff, you know, drawn in the drapey shapes, like it's draping over the chair. And I used periwinkle as the main color of the blanket. And then if there was areas, and this was direct to paper, you know, I wasn't concerned about that. If there was areas that there was darker, I filled in with this darker color, which is violet. Because, you know, who doesn't want a purple blankie? And then I took the water brush again and blended the colors together, smoothing them out onto the page and giving my darker areas and lighter areas. So that the action with the Stabilo All pencil was actually already, when it was on, already glued onto the page. So it looked like this, sealed with this, and then I cut it out and glued it on, and then I added the black so that I could make shadows around the edges. You know how I find that very necessary to make something that's glued on look as if it's part of a composition. So that was soft. The next one was resist, and well, we had our background that already had colors on it. You know, it had some orange of the well, that's not the same orange. Different color, sorry. What are the colors I used? I used Spice Marmalade, Seedless Preserves, and Broken China. I don't know if I got the Broken China or not. Yeah. Let's get a different piece of paper. So my colors were already on there from when I done the gel printing. And we'll use this one for two different things here. And so, yeah, we had the colors on there already. So for the step resist, I used a stencil, and I also used it for the next step. That was this tile stencil, and all I did was to use some gloss gel medium, not gloss gel medium, gloss fluid medium, sorry, is this one, the Collage Page. And I put that through the stencil using a sponge. a pretty heavy application of it using the sponge, because what I'm trying to do is preserve what's underneath. The areas of color, I'm trying to preserve them because I'm going to do a resist technique. So got a pretty heavy application on there, you know, as much without making it go through to the underside of the stencil. I put a good layer of it on there to make sure everything was awesomeness. And that is up here in this corner of the page. So then I dried it really well. Make sure that all that gloss, fluid gloss medium on there is very dry. Still not dry. Probably dry now. Then using some of this Glimmer Mist from Tattered Angels. I need to make a space here because this is messy. This is it's black. They're not kidding. It really is. I just, come on, don't start with me. I just sprayed it over the top in that area up at the top part of the page there. And then I took a baby wipe and I just kind of blotted and tried to give the areas around the piece to stay black, and then the area on the inside of the design to stay colorful. So that's what I did for Resist. Of course, it didn't turn out quite as nicely as this one because this had already been sealed in. This whole thing had been sealed in with that fluid matte medium, and so it didn't stay quite as bright as this did, but it's the same technique, exactly the same. That's kind of pretty. I think I'm going to save that. So then that was Resist number 5. Number 6 was Globe, and I didn't really have any use for any type of a globe shape, so I decided to not use that one, and I filled in with the Wild Card Sgraffito, and that is what I did down here at the bottom of the page here. Now remember, this is all sealed again with an acrylic medium because I wanted to seal in that under layer, so I put a whole bunch of this stuff on to seal all that distress. And that was my downfall because, well, let's see. Let me get my colors back here. We'll just do it on the edge. So we've got these colors underneath of this lovely Distress Oxide all in there. And then I used some black gesso over the whole area. Let's see if I can do that like you've seen me do before. And of course it was all dry and sealed in and everything before I did it. And then I took that same stencil. What happened to my stencil? Shoot. Where'd my stencil go? Ah, there it is. And the end of a skewer, and I just started to scratch the gesso back. But before I could get through the whole stencil design, unfortunately, my gesso dried. this stuff dries really, really quickly. So I was trying to scratch my design in there. And I get a little bit of it, but see, the gesso's already almost dry. So it's the same effect that I got here on the page. I started here, and you can see I got pretty well scratched. But then, you know, it wasn't as pronounced as I wanted, but it does give the idea of a patterned rug underneath sitting there. So that was my idea. It was like a patterned rug using duplicating the same pattern up here and down here. So then at that point I was all done with my steps, and all I did was just add the words sanctuary, soft, comfy, and safe. And I did that by drawing it first with my pencil and then going over it with my Posca pen. And then these little splatters, just to add a few pattern of light, was done by just simply, you know, doing this. That's it with the pen. So that is it for September. Pick a stick challenge. I'm sorry that I didn't record the whole thing. It was an accident. I don't even know what happened, but close-ups are coming at the end, so you'll be able to see all the close-ups of the techniques. And I hope that you guys all have fun with your pages this month, and that you post them in the group, like, you know, so we can see them. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.